and welcome to today's video. My name is Kim Nuttall and I am the founder of Space to Create the Life You Love and also creator of the Big Balancing Act Blueprint. Now that's a 4-week online course designed to help bring peace, pleasure and perfection to this little circus that we call life. So welcome to today's video. Today is the first video of a series that I'd like to do on self-awareness, and this is really just about me sharing some tips and tricks that I've discovered that work really well for me in relation to becoming more aware of what's going on for me in life, because that's enabled me to shift my perception and my perspective around how I'm behaving and made some profound differences in the way I'm responding to what's going on in life, and that's allowed me to bring some of the most wonderfully precious and beautiful moments to my life as a result of not sabotaging what's going on and just allowing me to see what truly is present in this moment rather than what I think it might mean. And I'd like to share some of those tips with you. So for today, I'd like to just start with the idea that we run around in our own little bubbles. And it's quite funny for me, now that I get an idea that that's what's going on for me and for many others, the idea that we're bumping into each other, running around in our own little bubbles, our own little minds, what's going on in our head, deciding what everything means, and then coming to the realization that everybody else is doing the same thing, so we're really not connecting and interacting with one another on any deeper or intimate level, because we're so decided that what's going on out there has everything to do with me and nothing to do with what's going on for anybody else. So today I'd just like to talk to you a little bit about understanding what goes on in our mind when we decide what a particular experience or something that's said or done in our presence, or we might perceive it to be to us, what's actually going on in our heads, in our minds at that point, because being able to understand what we're doing and becoming aware of that gives us an opportunity to decide whether or not we want to continue to do that, because these are things that we have been taught to do or have just come to us through circumstances, but a lot of us have never had the opportunity to consider whether what we're doing is actually serving us, and if there's a better way that we can do it that will bring us more pleasure and more peace and more love and joy in our lives. So the mind is a wonderful tool, but I just really want to stress that it is just that. Your mind is not who you are. It might be that mad little voice that goes off constantly in your head, but you are not that. So the mind is a tool. The mind's job is to collect data, and that's all that it does. It collects data, and it's a really powerful and wonderful tool for you to use if in fact you see it as a tool. But if you think that you are your mind and believe everything that it tells you as truth, then you come across a life that has a lot of struggle around it, because it doesn't allow you to grow and evolve and to make new decisions about how you want to look at life. So that's what we're going to have a look at today. So the mind is like a massive filing cabinet. Its job is to take what's happening and what it's currently seeing and experiencing and assign a meaning to it and file it away for future use. So, for instance, when we're little and we're growing up, we're always told, you always look both directions before you cross the road, because if you don't, then you're likely to step out onto the road and get hit by a bus. Now, we don't need to personally experience what it might be like to get hit by a bus. We can just trust that getting hit by a bus is probably not in our best interests. So on that basis, every time we come to a road, our mind will say, right, this is a road, and I've been informed that when I get to a road, I need to look in both directions, because if I step out onto the road and I get hit by a truck or by a bus, that's not going to be pleasant. So when the mind does that, that's a really useful tool. That's about being able to protect you, and your mind's job is to protect you and keep you safe and keep you alive. So it does a really good job in that situation. But what it also does is, or does not do, is have the ability to discriminate between what it should and what it shouldn't collect. So it will collect something like that, but it will also collect something like, you're 4 years old, it's your birthday, you've been so excited about it for weeks and weeks and weeks, You've gone to school, you've come home, Dad left before you got to school, and you've been waiting for him to come home just so that you can get your happy birthday kiss and your presents and your cuddle and be made to feel special, because of course it's your birthday, and when you're little, your birthday is the most important day of the entire year. So Dad gets home and he comes in as usual, and he doesn't remember that it's your birthday, so he doesn't react like you're expecting him to, like your mind tells you you should be receiving based on what's happened in previous years, for example, around the birthday. You know from past experience that it's always sometime when you make, everyone makes a special effort to make you feel special, and and it's very important you receive lots of love and attention. So Dad comes home on this particular day and he forgets, and you don't get what it is that you're expecting. So rather than being able to say as a 4-year-old child, Dad, by the way, it's my birthday, everything okay? And Dad going, oh, I'm sorry, I forgot, had a rough day at work, just slipped my mind, and then giving him the opportunity to make you feel special like you want him to. You decide as a 4-year-old child, not knowing any better, that perhaps that experience means that Dad doesn't love you, that he doesn't care, that you're not important, and then you're not worthy of his love. We always get to that, and we're not worthy. So as a 4-year-old child, that might be what your mind decides that experience means. And it's very good at remembering. It doesn't just remember the actual experience of what happened, it also remembers the feelings that are attached to it, and it's the feelings that cause us such heartache in life when they're not ones that we want to be feeling. So it stores all of that data and it throws it in the filing cabinet. And then every time some situation comes along that looks even remotely like that, that little mind will throw it up and say, hey, here I am, this is it again, this is what it means. It means that you're not loved, that you're not worthy, that you're not important, and what are you going to do about it? And then how do we respond? Okay, the first thing we do is we respond by feeling however we're going to feel about the idea that we're not worthwhile, that we're not worthy, that we're not important. You might feel really sad and depressed. You might feel really angry, and then you start acting out based on that anger. So off you've gone on your little tangent, creating the moment that you're in right now based on what's happened before. So for instance, classic example, it's your wedding anniversary, and your husband went to work in the morning, didn't say anything about it, but wedding anniversary is really important to you. You would never forget, ever. You've been planning the dinner for weeks, you've been planning what special things you can do, and you have an expectation that if it's that important to you, that it's going to be that important to him. So he goes to work, something's gone on, and he's had a really bad day, and he's coming home just to relax and to sit in that little man cave of his and just zone out so that he can regenerate, because that's how they do it, not like us. Women are very different. So he comes home, walks through the door, sits down on the couch and just zones out to you. Well, firstly, he's forgotten the anniversary. Secondly, he's not given you any love and attention. And thirdly, you had an expectation that you would receive all of those things. Now, in normal circumstances, well, actually not in normal circumstances, one approach you could have is to go, gee, I wonder what's going on for him. Oh, clearly he's forgotten. That's okay. Let me be the person who instigates here, and I'll remind him, and you take the situation from there. Now, he's likely going to feel really bad that he's forgotten, and you can either make him feel guilty about that, or you can just allow that a little bit of forgiveness and compassion to come in there, and then you can move to a wonderful evening where you have the dinner and you get things organised and have that perfect evening that you were hoping to have, but taking a little bit of a circuitous route to get there, one that you need to instigate. Or you can throw that little mind in there, all right, he's forgotten, it means that I'm not worthy, I'm not loved, I'm not important, and all hell breaks loose. You end up with the worst night of your life, not a happy anniversary at all, and then what does that do for, one, the long-term situation in terms of your relationship and the health of that relationship and how that's going for you, but secondly, how do you feel about that? You're feeling what you were feeling when you allowed your mind to pull in that circumstance from 4 years ago. So you're feeling, however that was, sad and angry. And then on top of that, you then have the feelings that are reinforced due to the argument that you've had, the fact that you've decided that it means that you're not loved, and the ongoing situation that causes for you. So you have more than one option about how you deal with this. But the thing is, we're not often taught that that's what you need to do, that there's a second step in that process of who you are and how you want to interpret life. So the first step is your mind throwing up that card. This is what it means. The second step is the step that you take. And the step that you take is deciding whether or not the card is valid in the current circumstances. That's the question that you need to ask. So the card comes up. You know, you're not wanted, you're not valid, you're not important, you're not loved. The question is that really what is going on here? And how do you find out the answer to that? Well, you ask. You need to use your voice. You need to speak. So you need to say to your husband in that circumstance, for instance, honey, it's our anniversary. Did you forget? What's going on? Anything going on? You can ask a myriad of questions. The important thing to understand is that the question needs to be not about blame. It's about inquiry. It's about being curious. It's about finding out what's going on. It's about not making the assumption that what your brain is or mind is telling you is what in fact is going on here. So that's the secret step. That's the step that we're not taught to take, but that's the step that makes all of the difference in the way that you will see your life. And just imagine, as I said before, the difference in the experience then for you if you choose simply to add that step in rather than letting your mind lead your experience, because the mind's not meant to do that, and you're doing yourself a really big disservice by allowing it to do that. Life can be so painful and hard and traumatic, and it can be full of suffering simply because you don't understand that there's a step you need to be taking in the middle. So that's what I wanted to share with you today. I hope you'll take that tip away and start looking, start noticing what it is that your mind is throwing up for you and how quickly you're responding to it. Are you questioning what it's bringing up for you? Or are you just going with the fact that that's got to be the truth and on I go? And then have a look at what the results are. Because the results, if you're happy with the results, you're happy with the circumstances in your life and your relationships, and it's just wonderful and glorious and everything that you expected it to be, then there's nothing that you need to do differently. But if you would like to experience something other than where you are, if it's not ideal, if it's not where you wish you were, and if you're not being who you wish you could be, then this is one way to start shifting that. One way. And you won't get it right all the time. I never get it right all the time. Just ask my kids, they'll tell you. But it's about practice, and it's about persistence, and it's about lifting your level of self-awareness. So thank you very much for joining me today. I hope that you really join me on the next series of videos that I'm going to put together on self-awareness, just giving you some extra tips on this. If you're interested in having a listen and a look at some of the other stuff I'm working at my online course, my blog, then please go to www.spacetocreate, that's the number 2.com.au. I'd love to see you there, and I'd love to hear your story and some comments from you. If there's some information that you'd like me to cover in my videos or in my blog, please let me know, because my mission really is to be able to share the things that I've discovered about life in the hope that your life can build and build and build to that place where it is a life that you love. Okay, thank you, and I look forward to speaking to you soon. Bye-bye.